Feed Ghana, the region has received and distributed 12,233 mini bags and 42,510 50-kilogram bags of fertilizer, benefiting a total number of 7,569 farmers across the region. Under the Nkoko Kitikiti initiative, 9,500 bags have been distributed so far to 252 farmers in Bongo and Boku West districts through the support of Food and Agriculture Organization and the Savannah Agriculture Development Project. Your Excellency, we have also identified approximately 24,475 acres of land with irrigation potential across Binduri, Boku West, Buza South, and Kasena Nankana, providing a strong base for all year-round agricultural production. The Fombisi Rice Valley remains one of the region's major agricultural assets, while a completion of the Tamde irrigation dam and the rehabilitation of the Tono and Via irrigation schemes have the potential to significantly transform agricultural sector, food security, and livelihoods. I am pleased to note that the rehabilitation of the Via Rice Bank irrigation scheme is ongoing. A rice processing plant has been installed in the Tono under the public-private partnership with private sector investment, while the Tono Clubhouse is also undergoing renovation under the PPP arrangement. Water and sanitation. Your Excellency, under the water and sanitation sector, the Bongo water supply system has been expanded to serve approximately 25,428 residents, with a production capacity increasing from 25 to 150 cubic meters per day. The rehabilitation of the Sanduma and China water systems is also substantially advanced. Roads and connectivity. Your Excellency, within the period under review, the region awarded a total of 275.35 kilometers of feeder roads, including 35 kilometers earmarked for bituminous sufficient. I am pleased to report that 14 interventions covering 63.66 kilometers have been completed across the region. Key interventions include Kororoko Kadare, Zoko Junction Road, Kadema Naga Road, Sirigu Township Roads in Borga, Zabu Junction, Buses Boku Road, and Sanduma Kori number 1 Road, among others. Your Excellency, under the big push, the region is privileged to benefit from 34 kilometers of roads works, comprising 25 kilometers on the Chichuluga-Chana-Nakong stretch and 10 kilometers on the Chichuluga-Sanduma road, which you inspected yesterday. We are also working with the Ministry of Roads and Highways to secure the remaining sections, including the completion of the Bolgatanga-Boku-Pulmokom roads. Your Excellency, we are equally pursuing the development of the Bolgatanga Airport, for which you were graciously enough to inspect the secured land yesterday. When realized, this project will significantly strengthen connectivity, attract investment, and unlock the region's wider economic potentials. Sports development. Your Excellency, the RCC has submitted a proposal for the development of the Bolgatanga Sports Stadium to the Ministry of Youth and Sports and Ghana National Cylinder Company Limited. I am pleased to report that the Ministry has requested the stadium's documents, which have been duly submitted for consideration. We are also supported the National Sports Authority to host the regional boxing competition involving the Upper West, Upper East, and Northern region in the 2025 with outstanding boxers selected to represent the region at the national level. Local economy, development, and job creation. Your Excellency, our resource base includes gold, limestone, forest resources, and significant solar potential, offering strong opportunities for industrialization, value addition, and job creation. The proposed ceramics, lime, and cement production initiatives, for instance, will convert local resources into investment, employment, and increase revenue for the region. The 24-hour economic markets are also ongoing in all the 15 assemblies, with land-related issues in Garu and Binduri being finalized with the support of the Zuguran, the paramount chief of Boku, through the PEARL framework, which is prosperity through enterprise, agriculture, and resilient livelihoods. We are also positioning the region's gold resources found in the 10 out of the 15 districts as a catalyst for sustainable development and economic transformation, recognizing that our mineral resources are finite and must be converted into lasting value for our people. Governance and regional development. Your Excellency, under your leadership, we have facilitated the establishment of the Temporary Passport Application Center in Bolgatanga, bringing this essential service closer to our people. We are also grateful to the government working hard for the completion and operationalization of the Permanent Passport Office to ensure sustainable and efficient passport services for the people of Upper East Region. It is in this spirit that we have developed the PEARL Framework 2025 to 2035, 2026 to 2035, I beg your pardon, to provide a long-term pathway to make the Upper East Region more productive, resilient, and investment ready. Conclusion. Your Excellency, the Upper East Region has immense potentials, but we also face significant challenges. Our people are hardworking, resilient, and resilient. What they require is peace, infrastructure, access to finance and market, job, and enabling environments, and to turn their efforts into prosperity. Your Excellency, we are grateful for your continuous commitment to the Upper East Region, and we assure you that the Regional Coordinating Council and the 15 district assemblies, traditional authorities, development partners, and all stakeholders remain committed to working with you to advance the development of the Upper East Region. In line with your directive, I will cascade this accountability platform to the district levels, ensuring that our people have the opportunity to engage us and hold us accountable for the delivery of our commitments. May God bless our President, Excellency John Dramani Mahama. May God bless the chiefs and people of Upper East Region, and may God bless our homeland Ghana.
Thank you very much, Honorable Regional Minister, for that efficient delivery. A few weeks ago, government published a position paper on the reports of the Constitution Review Committee. Since then, work has been ongoing to see through with the constitutional amendments that have been proposed. In addition to that, Operation Recover All Loot has been in full swing to hold public office holders accountable. And His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama has picked no other person than a son of the soil, the current Attorney General and Minister for Justice, and also Member of Parliament for Bolgatanga East. I have the privilege of welcoming on stage the Honorable Dr. Dominic Akrutinga Ayini to provide a briefing on both the Constitution Review process and Operation Recover All Loot. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much, Felix. Good morning, Mr. President, Good morning, our revered traditional leaders. Good morning to my colleagues and fellow citizens. The Honorable Minister for Government Communications has indicated that I have 5 minutes to perform this task that he has given me. I would want to begin with oral, that is Operation Recover All Loot. Fellow citizens, when we were campaigning in 2024, His Excellency the President was very straightforward and set in his mind that the wrongdoing that occurred, the corruption that took place under the 8 years of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo would not go uninvestigated. Now, this was set in the background of our own constitution. If you look at the Constitution of the Republic, it says that we commit ourselves to certain fundamental values. Amongst them is the value of accountability. And oral is all about accountability. That is why His Excellency, the President, when he won and took office, and even before he was sworn in, he set up a committee known as the Operation Recover All Loot Committee. That committee did some preliminary work, handed over a comprehensive report to my office. We built 34 dockets out of the report of the oral committee. All investigations on the 34 dockets have been completed and preliminary findings have been made. A lot of them are being prepared for filing in court. But I must say, fellow countrymen and women, that investigations are a painstaking adventure. They are multi-layered. And His Excellency has always been very, very, very keen to ensure that when we are doing investigations or when we are doing prosecutions, we are not in any way leaving any stone unturned in a way that will let it look like he's engaging in persecution of political opponents. And so we do not only investigate using the agencies of state such as the BNI and the economic and organized crime, but we also investigate by doing forensic audits. And that is how come that the National Cathedral audit was ordered by His Excellency. The Auditor General procured the services of PwC that has submitted a report to that effect. My fellow citizens, the cases in court that we have filed so far are doing very, very well. In fact, I had occasion to mention that I am the first Attorney General in the history of the Fourth Republic to file 5 cases in court in 1 year. And Your Excellency, I want us to look at the record that we inherited as far as the prosecution of corruption in our country under the Fourth Republic is concerned. So, when we came into the Fourth Republic, from 1992 to 2000, that was when there was a change in government. And the first case to have been filed that dealt with corruption was Republic versus Victor Selome. And if you recall, that was a case in which the fast-track high courts had been set up by the Kufuor regime in order to make sure that corruption cases are fast-tracked. That case took 6 months, and it was because the MPP wanted to demonstrate that the fast-track courts were actually working. Then it was followed by Republic versus Ibrahim Adam and 4 others. That is the Quality Green case. That case took us 23 months. That is roughly 2 years. Then we had Republic versus Chachuchi Kata. That is that started on the 9th of October and ended on 9th of October 2002 and ended on 18th June 2008, roughly 5 years and 8 months. Then we had Republic versus Daniel Abudakwi, which started on the 14th of October 2002 and ended on the 5th of February 2007. That is 4 years and 4 months. So the narrative that is going on by the MPP that oral is delaying is not true. In fact, our cases are going faster than any other case that has been instituted in the Fourth Republic. So, for instance, we have concluded our case in the SkyTrain. In other words, the Attorney General has closed his case in the SkyTrain. We are nearly done with our case in Republic versus Edubohin, which is the National Signal Bureau's case. And most of the cases are also advancing faster than, the record time. So the negative narrative which is being peddled by the MPP to the effect that the cases are not going well, that the Attorney General is losing the cases in court, is one that is meant to divert public attention away from the diligent investigations that have been conducted. In fact, our investigations have so far been very well done, to the extent that if you look at the National Signal Bureau's case, we have submitted all the documents relating to how the monies were moved from a public account into a private account and how it was spent privately. So, for instance, I want to give an example. If you take 16.5 million Ghana cedis of public funds, put them into an account of a company belonging to you and your wife, and spend it for private purposes, and the documentary evidence has been placed before a court of law, tell me how anyone can say that the Attorney General, after placing this on record, is losing the case. Even common sense will tell you that this is a case that is so watertight. But I do not want to make any prejudicial comments because the cases are in court. Then I need to underscore one point. Oral is not just about the 34 dockets that have been built. Oral is also comprehensively pursuing investigations in other matters. So, for instance, you recently heard about the investigations into the local government, the Interministerial Committee on Local Government, which was headed by Miracle Sabuaje. That is part of oral. We need to look at it comprehensively and not only look at the 34 cases that have been built out of the oral committee report. So, ladies and gentlemen, on record, oral is doing a fantastic job, and the people of Ghana will begin to see the results of the prosecutions sooner than later. Now, the Minister for Government Communications also asked that I should give a briefing on the constitutional review process. So, His Excellency the President set up the Constitution Review committee in January 2025. He tasked the committee with going around the country, conducting consultations, and coming back with the views of the people of this country regarding how we can fine-tune the Constitution in order to better serve the needs of the people of the country. Now, remember that, and I mentioned this yesterday, that Article 1 of the Constitution is very clear, that all powers of government must be exercised in the name of and for the welfare of the people. And that is what the Resetting Ghana agenda is all about. Making sure that when governmental power exercised in any way, it will be to the benefit of the people of the country. And so the committee went to work. His Excellency had given the committee 6 months to bring back its final report. The committee asked for an extension and eventually brought their report in December 2025. That report was a summary. It was not a comprehensive, the final report. So we reviewed it, and then in February 2026, the final report, which was about 700 pages, was presented to government. Both the President and Cabinet thoroughly reviewed that report. We did about 3 cabinet meetings, including a whole weekend cabinet retreat presided over by His Excellency the President, which then looked into the recommendations of the committee in order to determine which ones to accept and which ones to reject. When we carefully studied the recommendations, we came out with our position paper, which was published, the government position paper, which was published in July, that is just last month. Now we are in the process of setting up the Constitution Review Implementation Committee, and I believe that His Excellency will be swearing them in this month to kickstart the process of implementing the accepted recommendations of government. And it entails 2 things. One is that there are provisions of the Constitution that are non-entrenched provisions. Those will be put in a bill titled the Constitution Review Amendment Bill number 1, 2026, and that bill will be presented to Parliament. But it will take us about 3 months to be able to do that, because under the Constitution, the bill needs to be gazetted for at least 3 months before it can be presented to Parliament. So, in terms of our timelines, the idea is that by March 2027, the Constitution Amendment number 1 bill will be presented to Parliament for us to begin the process of passage. The entrenched provisions will be amended through a process in the Constitution for the amendment of entrenched bills, and that requires that we take the bill to a referendum. So the Constitution Amendment number 2 bill will be gazetted for 6 months, and thereafter it will be presented to the people of this country for them to approve its content. And when they do, it will now come back to Parliament for enactment. What it means is that we must have at the referendum 40% of Ghanaians turning out, and then out of the turning out to vote, and out of the 40%, 75% of them must approve the bill so that it can then come to Parliament for enactment. And once it comes to Parliament, the President and Parliament cannot change anything in it. It will be sent to Mr. President, and Mr. President will then sign it into law, and the amendments would have been completed. So basically, in summary, this is where we are with the constitutional review process. But I want to assure all Ghanaians that as far as the 2 processes are concerned, everything is under control, and His Excellency the President will ensure that a good work is done. I want to emphasize the fact that His Excellency the President, as far as oral is concerned, will never approve that in my capacity as Attorney General, we engage in any persecution of a political opponent. I thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Honorable Attorney General. The Honorable Harun Idrisu will now mount the stage to bring us up to speed on developments in the education sector.
President John Dramani Mahama, President of Ghana and Commander-in-Chief, the Majority Leader and Leader of Government Business, Excellency Cletus Avoka, Council of State and other reps, our very revered and respected Chiefs, Ministers of State, including Managing Director Goyal and Mr. President, proud students, Mr. President, I will be very brief. Since your assumption of office as President of the Republic, you have endeavored to expand access to education at all levels, basic, secondary, and tertiary. Mr. President, your new policy places emphasis on basic education and realigning expenditure to improve foundational learning and learning outcomes. Mr. President, so far, the GET Fund has awarded 2,038 contracts, basic, secondary, and tertiary across the country to expand access to education generally. Mr. President, at the tertiary level, your commitment is to ensure that at least 2 to 4 public universities are added to the country, looking at Oti, Ahafo, Western North, and Mr. President, your own Damango. Work is fast advanced for the establishment of the University of Science and Technology in Damango. We have just concluded work on the design and build of that university, to which the President have committed $30 million of grant money given to him for the start of the project, whilst Mr. President is looking for additional resources to do that. The President is also positioning the University for Allied Sciences in this region as part of Mr. President's efforts to demystify medical education as he has done to legal education. So very soon, the university here will have a mandate and accreditation to do medicine, subject to the advancement and mobilization of additional resources. At the secondary education level, President John Dramani Mahama is committing 2.8 to 3 billion under a World Bank Star J program to expand access to secondary education. 12 schools in the Upper East region will benefit from this facility. Mr. President, I just reached out to the Honorable Minister for Finance, and he indicates to me that one of the secondary schools in Bolgatanga, he has signed a Badia agreement of $42 million. One of the secondary schools here will benefit from an expanded state-of-the-art institution of STEM in this region. Mr. President, let me conclude by saying that under President Mahama, free senior high school has come to stay. I see our proud students from Zamstek, and also the President visited Borgis. I know that there are attempts to encroach on your land. We will deal swiftly and decisively with that private person who wants to take over the school lands and all other school lands in the country. We will be expanding some of your facilities. Under President John Dramani Mahama, 2 special needs education schools will be constructed in Ho and Sinyane. Work is about commencing on 2 regional libraries in the Ahafo region and also in the Volta region, funded by the District Assembly Common Fund. So for President Mahama, at least I can say that cost of living is better than it was in 2024. If you look at the diggings and the performance of the economy, of a strengthened currency, a low inflation rate, and a restructured and reduced debt, President is remobilizing resources. I cannot, Mr. President, conclude any comment in the Upper East region without touching on the Bolgatanga Technical University. We've gotten some funding from the Italians, and part of it will be used to retool some of the universities. So for President Mahama, is expanding access. The students in Zamtek will confess that there is no food shortage at all. Thanks to President Mahama and uncapping Get Fund, the schools are adequately fed with funding from Get Fund, supporting the buffer stock and Ghana commodity exchange. So for us, free senior high school has come to stay. But President Mahama is reviewing it, has reviewed it, and his response is, I'm expanding infrastructure, I'm providing for the feeding, and I'm providing for quality assurance. Let me use this opportunity to thank you, to thank the President that he knows that education remains a priority for the Upper East region. My own school, Navrungu Secondary School, is benefiting from an assembly hall and expanded dormitory as part of the Get Fund initiative in this particular area. So support President Mahama under his reset, and education is the better. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Education Minister, for that crisp presentation. Now, the Minister for Food and Agriculture, the Honorable Eric Opoku, will brief us on how his ministry is supporting agriculture in the Upper East region and ensuring food sufficiency for the whole of the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Moderator. Your Excellency, all protocols observed. We from the Ministry of Food and Agriculture have the responsibility to ensure that Ghana attains food self-sufficiency. We introduced what we call the Feed Ghana program. Under the Feed Ghana program, we campaigned across the country that everybody in this country must participate in agriculture. We encourage school farming, we encourage faith-based organizations to be part of agriculture, and indeed we encourage entities, state agencies to also participate in the process. When we assumed office, Ghana has experienced two major disasters. The first one was the spillage from the Akosombo Dam that devastated farms in the Volta enclave. The second one was the spillage, the dry spell that occurred in the northern enclave, that also destroyed farms valued at millions of Ghana cedis. And so there was shortage of food. And Ghana, the government of Ghana, was at that time importing rice, maize to supplement local production. Food inflation at that time, in January 2025, food inflation was 28.3%. After 1 year of the implementation of the Feed Ghana program, food inflation reduced significantly. It must be indicated that this is the lowest food inflation ever recorded in the history. This month, the Ghana Statistical Service released a report that indicates that overall inflation has reduced to 4.6 on the back of declining food prices. Farmers have contributed to bringing down inflation in our country. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, now coming to Upper East, what are we doing? Upper East, we have earmarked Upper East as the vegetable hub of this country, because Upper East has everything it takes to produce enough vegetables to feed our country. We have taken land at Tono irrigation site for the production of tomatoes, and we have special tomato production in this country. Currently, we are working in 130 communities across the country. They are in 35 districts, and what we are doing is simple. All farmers who register to participate in tomato production in this country will be supported financially to be able to do that. Every farmer
will be given a soft loan of 20,000 per 1 acre. With insurance, out of the 20,000, you pay for insurance cover of 1,200. So should in case of any disaster that destroys the farm, insurance will pay you 50,000 Ghana cedis. Yesterday, I was in Tono with the financial institution and farm mate, the buyer that the Ministry of Food and Agriculture has engaged to come and work with the farmers on the farm to produce an offtake from the farm. We are doing this to reduce post-harvest losses. Your Excellency, post-harvest losses in Ghana cost us $2 billion annually, equivalent to 30% of all our agricultural produce. It does not make sense that farmers will invest their time, their energy, all their resources to produce, and 30% will go waste. So to address this, we have the buyers on the field. They will work with the farmers, produce, and when they harvest, they will buy and pay them. We are doing this at Tono. We are going to Via. I have the assurance of Mr. President that within a matter of 3 months, we will complete the right bank of Tono and then of Via and operationalize it immediately. So all the 850 hectares of land at Via will be made useful, will be given to the farmers, and immediately they will start producing all year round. Then when the regional minister was speaking, he mentioned lack of irrigation in Binduri, lack of irrigation in Boku West, lack of irrigation in Katsina Nankana and in Taransi district. Your Excellency, we have awarded contract for the construction and installation of solar-powered micro-irrigation systems. Solar-powered micro-irrigation systems. And contractors will be on site within the next 2 weeks to start constructing and installing irrigation systems to enable our people to operate. Again, on the issue of rice glut, fortunately or unfortunately, last year, Ghana witnessed a bumper harvest. Our farmers produced so much that the market was unable to accommodate. President Mahama, for the first time in the history of this country, made available resources through the Ministry of Food and Agriculture to the National Food Buffer Stock to go into the market and mop up the excess. As we speak today, all our warehouses, our silos are full. We have more than 20,000 metric tons of grains stored. So should in case of any emergency in this country, the government of President Mahama is ready to provide grains to support the citizens of our country. Unfortunately, we have one challenge to deal with. That is the glut of rice on our farms. In fact, when I came to Bolga, many of the farmers that came to me said that, when are you people going to procure our rice? President Mahama has given us resources, and buffer stock has started awarding contracts to millers. In fact, in Akko, we have given contracts to a private entity that is working with ICO. The contractor is supposed to buy the paddy rice, mill, and then transport to the national buffer stock. We have instructed them that if we hear that they are not buying from our farmers and that they are buying from other sources, that contract will be terminated immediately. And so all the rice farmers here in Garden, we want you to have the assurance that within the next 3 months, all the rice that you have, that we are not getting market, government of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama will buy all the rice for us to feed our students in the various schools. At the end of this month, the National Food Buffer Stock will publish the list of all the millers that we have contracted to buy the rice. We will publish them in the daily graphic, in the Ghanaian Times, and all the papers, and also announce on all our radio stations for every farmer to know where they are located, so that you can send your rice there for it to be bought. The good news is that we will not allow them to buy the rice cheaply. We are going to offer reasonable prices so that farmers can earn something significant from their sweat and labor. This year, we have procured 730,101 bags of inorganic fertilizer, equivalent to 37,000 metric tons. We have also procured 190,561 liters of organic fertilizer. We have also procured huge quantities of improved maize, rice, pepper, onion and tomato seeds, and we have distributed across the country free of charge to our farmers. We are doing this for one important reason. It is an emergency cushion in response to the low prices occasioned by the drought we have experienced this year. The president believes that farmers did not get enough income to be able to procure this input, and so there is a need for government to cushion farmers in order to produce at an affordable cost. So our farmers in the various cooperatives have been served. Every agricultural district in Ghana have been served. Our traditional authorities who are farming have also been served. Faith-based organizations have been served. Schools registered with us under the Free Ghana program have been served. And therefore we expect bumper harvest again this year. And we are preparing, we are putting up enough storage facilities to be able to accommodate the excess. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this is my last point. In order to scale up agricultural production, President Mahama promised mechanization. So we are setting up what we call agricultural mechanization centers, now changed to the farmers service centers. We are constructing 70 across the region. Contractors are already on the field. In Upper East, the Savannah Development Authority is setting up a farmer service center in Naga. They are also setting up another one in Iko. We have selected 4 different districts to also have farmer service centers here. The farmer service centers are going to serve as one-stop shop for all the farmers. If you want tractors, you get them there. If you want to plow your land, you get equipment there. If you want combine harvesters, you get it there. Whatever equipment that you need that will enable you scale up your farming activities, you get everything there. We are importing into this country the first batch of equipment. It has never happened in the history of Ghana that a government will at a point import agricultural equipment and implements numbering 1,840 into Ghana. It has never happened except under President John Dramani Mahama. We are bringing in tractors numbering 440 tractors, and that is the first batch. In the second batch, we are adding 660 to make a total of 1,100 tractors. This has never happened in the history of our country. Now we want agriculture to transition from agriculture being a mere survival activity to agriculture being enterprise, lucrative activity for all farmers who are engaged in agriculture to earn something substantial for their livelihood. Thank you. I'm done.
Thank you very much, Minister for Food and Agriculture, the Honorable Eriko Poku, for that comprehensive briefing packed into a few minutes. Now, there is hardly any region in Ghana that is not seeing the construction of major roads. And the man who has been helming that activity, the Honorable Governor Kwame Abuja, Minister for Roads and Highways, is here to brief us on the progress of work. Thank you very much.
Honorable Felix, thank you very much. He just reminded me again that I have only 5 minutes, so I'll make it snappy. Your Excellency, President John Dramani Mahama and colleagues, I will stand on existing protocols and make it snappy. Fellow countrymen and women, President Mahama's Infrastructure Master Plan road section is in full swing across the country. Every region is getting a fair share of President Mahama's road project. Indeed, this scale of road project has never been undertaken by any government at the same time in our history. You will agree with me that our great builder is President Mahama. So I call him in my mind, our president is a great builder of our country because he's building everywhere. When we got here yesterday, President Mahama took the opportunity to visit some of the projects that are closer to Bolga. So yesterday we visited the Navrongo Chuchuliga Tumu Road, and the contractor is doing very well on the site. When that project is completed together with others, it will be the easiest way to travel from Bolga all the way to Wa. Those of you who have been plying that road now will realize that many of the contractors have finished their sealing works to a large extent. Yesterday also, as the regional minister said, one of the projects President Mahama started in 2015, works actually started in 2016, was the Bolga Boku Polmakum, and when he left office, the project stalled. The previous government tried to resuscitate it. Unfortunately, our debt profile made it impossible. Now, President Mahama has directed that whatever it takes for that project to be completed by the end of 2027 has to be done. Fortunately, yesterday, he was with us on the site, and the contractors have returned to site. These contractors are not going to leave the site again until the project is finished. That is assurance we give you. This morning, on behalf of President Mahama, I went to Tongo to join my colleagues, two MPs there, to actually commence the construction of the road from Tongo, Shega to Pelengu. That project will also be completed, and I know my two colleagues and others have been fighting for that. The President has also indicated that the road from Tamale to Bolga, everybody who uses it, including myself, and I'll use it again, has deteriorated. That project, when it was built, I'm sure few of our younger sisters here were not born. The road has deteriorated. It is no longer fit for purpose. It's not safe. President Mahama has directed us to work on it. We are putting it together for comprehensive reconstruction all the way to the Tamale. He's also directed that the eastern corridor from Tema all the way to Kulungugu should be done. You will notice that contractors are busy on the full stretch. The only stretch that is left, that is the stretch from Makbanduri to Garu to Kulungugu. That section is also being prepared as we speak. And during his second phase of the big push, you realize that contractors are back on that site as well. I cannot come here and not address one issue because I have only 5 minutes. President Mahama doing the big push which addresses the trunk road and major intersections. It's also directed us to work on some feeder roads connecting other places to the feeder roads. The World Bank was using, and then my colleague, Honorable Agric Minister was there, decided to use a data and decided that the project should be done in only 4 regions. Later, we expanded it, and then we ended up in 13 regions, leaving 3 other regions, Greater Accra, Upper East, and Northeast. I know this issue has become topical. What I'm going to say here will put me in trouble in other regions, because what I know is that some of the World Bank project we have been talking about amounted to about 40-60 kilometers in some regions. But what are we doing to make sure that Upper East have its own share of this project? President directed, and between now and next month, you realize that contractors will be on site on 18 projects in this region. So instead of getting 60 kilometers, Upper East is getting 267 kilometers of those roads. Yes, I know you are clapping, but I'm going to get into trouble in another region. And let me mention this road so that it is clear to everybody that this is what we are doing, and then the commencement authorization will be issued next week for us to start the procurement process. So give me a few minutes to let me just read what we are doing. So we are doing the upgrading of Gumongo to Nairo and other feeder roads, the rehabilitation of the Saboro Su and the Usunga feeder roads, that is one. Upgrading of Bedema to Kanjaga feeder road, the rehabilitation of Catholic Pandem Health Center and other feeder roads, the Chuchuliga, Awu, Lansa and other feeder roads, upgrading of bituminous surfacing of Kandinga Junction to Sirigu feeder road, the construction of 30-meter long span bridge over River Kolalibali on Paga to Sirigu feeder road, the construction of a 36-meter long sail bridge over River Gugura on Paga Sirigu road again, the upgrading of Zare Market to Zisiri feeder road, upgrading of Yakubu Kona Junction to Yakubu Kona Batia feeder road, the upgrading of Asange, Pelungu and other feeder roads, upgrade between us surfacing of Y Junction, Domiabra, Tampani feeder road, and rehabilitation of Bayonde to Congo feeder road, upgrading of Bongo Central to Namon road. I'm sure the regional minister is excited about this particular one. The upgrading of and bituminous surfacing of Zebila Hospital to Tanga feeder road, and upgrading and bituminous surfacing of Zebila SHS to Kukore feeder road, the upgrading of Zare Nyariga to Ayone feeder road, upgrading of Zarungu Tongo feeder road, upgrading of Boku Narangu feeder road, upgrading of Pusiga town roads, Navrongo Pungu Natumnia feeder road, the upgrading of Bayonde Congo feeder road, the upgrading of Asorekobinsi Guinea Fowl Junction to Nyariga Canal feeder road, Azimson bypass, and then many more. A total of 18 projects, 267 kilometers. That is starting by next month. Will you substitute this for a 50-kilometer road under the World Bank? No way, isn't it? President Mahama is making sure that his road projects are equitably distributed, especially to those of us who have suffered no road project within the 8 years of the previous government. We are addressing those ones, and I can guarantee you by the end of President Mahama's tenure, you will see that this region is fully open with good roads, tarred and everything. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for giving this comprehensive update on progress of work on roads in the Upper East region in particular and Ghana in general. So the Honorable Isaac Adongo is Member of Parliament for Bolgatanga Central. He is also the Chairman of the Finance Committee of Parliament and a man well versed in happenings within the Ghanaian economy. He will give us a brief presentation on what President Mahama has been doing with the economy since he took over as President of the Republic of Ghana. Let us welcome him with a round of applause.
His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, may I stand on the existing protocols already established to make some few remarks. Your Excellency, I recall when you were the flag bearer, you seemed not to like our briefing anytime we came to you, because we painted a very gloomy economy that you were going to inherit. And often you asked us what are the solutions that we will need to implement. There were 4 key issues that you were concerned with. One was the fact that Ghana was spending recklessly, and you wanted clear reforms that will ensure that we'll get a handle on the expenditures that we incurred to manage the economy. You can hear from all my colleagues who came here, Road Minister is happy to construct roads, Education Minister is happy to give access to education, and you could also hear the others, all of them are asking for money. And your question was, how do we do this without plunging the country into the kind of situation that we found ourselves? And we said we will find a solution. The second one was that everywhere we went, Ghanaians were suffering from the management of the economy in relation to monetary policy. Inflation was very high, interest rates were very high, exchange rate was very bad, and all that you wanted was how do we ensure that within a shorter period Ghanaians experience some relief in terms of those numbers coming down and giving relief to Ghanaians. Then the third issue that we were concerned with was how do we strengthen the external sector of Ghana, particularly when you were told that the only foreign currency that we have, the dollar, and all other foreign reserves at the Bank of Ghana could only last for 2 weeks at the central bank. So even if you had to buy medicine for the people of Ghana and you went to the Bank of Ghana, you wouldn't find money to buy those medicines. So His Excellency wanted to find out how we will bring back the stability in the economy and strengthen monetary policy. Then finally, you said that after all of this, the economy must grow. So you were worried about the real sector of the economy. Today, Mr. President, I'm happy not to report bad news, but to tell you that your government over just 1 year, you have turned the corner properly, not the ones that they were attempting to turn and were getting accidents all over the place. Today, you have turned this economy. Your fiscal environment is robust. The Minister for Finance has introduced clear reforms that have anchored the development of our country. And I'm happy to hear the Minister for Roads not just saying that he's awarding contracts, but that he is waiting for what we call commitment authorization. That is an intentional reform that you made that ensured that the Minister for Finance was able to have control over the expenditures that your ministers incurred, but to find the PPA as the agency to safeguard and protect the implementation of the commitment authorization. As a result of that, we are able to do the things that we want to do, but we'll do it much more responsibly and make sure that Ghana does not get into the situation that we had before. Then secondly, within 1 year, your governor of the central bank, together with his board, worked assiduously to bring down inflation. I heard Honorable Eric Opoku mentioning that inflation is now 4.6. In fact, Mr. President, the challenge we are now getting is that people are saying that the inflation is just too low. They are not used to 4.6%. So it looks as if we are rather disrupting them because they are used to 40%, 50%. But of course, over time, we will learn to live with stable prices over a period of time. And that will assist our businessmen to plan and to assist our households to manage their incomes properly. Then we also are able to bring down interest rates. Today, interest rates are no more at the levels that they were before. So businesses can borrow at reasonable cost and expand the economy. Then the concern that you had about the real sector has been addressed. Today, your economy grew by over 6% last year. But what is important is that this growth was broad-based. In fact, Honorable Eric Opoku's sector grew by almost 7.9%. It had never been heard for a very long time that agriculture was doing so well. Even fisheries, that was growing at a negative rate, improved in 2025. Manufacturing, and if you recall in the past, government never mentioned manufacturing growth. They will mention industrial growth. Industrial growth is not just manufacturing. It includes mining, it includes oil sector production, and so they put all of that together so that they can hide the non-growth of the manufacturing sector. But under you, manufacturing has grown by 7% in just 1 year. That is a remarkable achievement. But even more importantly, you are able to do this without borrowing from the external market, but you are able to do that from the resources that are generated by the people of Ghana. Because, Mr. President, one of the briefs that you gave to your Minister for Finance is that he must make sure that whilst he deals with the problem of expenditure, he must also solve the problem of revenue. He must grow the revenue so that we can be able to develop our country without looking for external resources. And so some reforms have been taking place to ensure that we grow the revenue base. Today, for the first time in many years, the customs sector recorded outperformed the revenue target that was set for customs. It has never happened in about 7-8 years, but your government did it in 1 year, and that is because you allowed the introduction of the Republican, which is an AI system that allows the government to control under-invoicing and over-invoicing to be able to rake in the appropriate revenue that we need to grow our country. But at the moment, our biggest problem is the VAT sector, and I'm happy to announce that your minister has instituted a bipartisan committee to advise him on the implementation of what we call the fiscal point of sale device, which is an electronic system that will monitor and ensure that when people buy goods and services and they pay the VAT actually gets to the government and GRA gets the benefit of those resources. And that advisory committee he set up includes the leadership of the finance committee, which also includes the opposition on that committee, the leadership of the budget committee, and chaired by his deputy minister, Honorable Ampim Nyako, and oversighted by he himself. And it includes the technical team of the GRA. Mr. President, it is very clear that you are not only developing the country, but you are doing that so responsibly, and to ensure that we don't go back to the days when Ghana went into debt distress. You recall that before we came to power, we told you that you could not go out there and borrow, because when Ghana was going to the last IMF program, a major benchmark for IMF is that IMF does not lend into an unsustainable situation. And so before they come and give you an IMF program, they have to assess your debt levels and come to a conclusion that your debt levels are sustainable. Unfortunately, for the first time, Ghana's debt was assessed not to be sustainable, and therefore we could not qualify for an IMF program for the first time. And therefore we had to come back, sit down with our creditors, and find a very sharp scissors to undertake a surgical operation that was to remove the tumor that was eating into the finances of Ghana. And you all experienced it, that the finance minister had one of the biggest scissors cutting everywhere, and we used to call it the haircut, isn't it? The pensioners got their own, those who borrowed from government also had their own. Today, you don't want Ghana to go through that painful experience again, and your finance minister, apart from doing all of this, is putting aside money to ensure that when our debt mature, we are able to pay. Only last month, we were able to settle $700 million of debt owed to our external partners that our previous government borrowed and couldn't pay. As we speak now, the minister must find 10 billion next month in October to pay the domestic exchange program debt bondholders whose maturities are falling due. Mr. President, anytime they tell you that you should complete Agenda 111, tell them you are completing their other Agenda 111. The debt they left for us that we need to pay in the next 2 years amount to 111 billion Ghana cedis. That is Agenda 111 you are working with. And when you finish dealing with that Agenda 111, we will come back to Honorable Akando's 111 and we'll be comfortable to deal with it. Mr. President, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Adongo, for that presentation. Yesterday, there was a short but impressive ceremony at Zwarungu around the free primary health care program. But for those of you who still are unclear what the program is about, and those of you who are concerned about recruitments into the health sector and other issues relating to the provision of health for the people of Ghana, let me welcome the Honorable Kwabnaminta Akando, who will shed light on this and other matters. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Felix. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, President John Dramani Mahama, permits me to proceed on the already established protocols. Your Excellency, as we all know, the health of the people is ultimately the wealth of the people. And so there's a journey that every country is embarking on. That is to attain universal health coverage. Now, this means that irrespective of your location, your geographical location, your status in society, you must have access to quality health care. To do this, His Excellency the President is rolling out 3 main interventions in the health sector. His Excellency the President is pursuing health sovereignty not only in Ghana but on the continent and on the globe. When he took over, one of the first policies he ensured that was established was the uncapping of the National Health Insurance Levy. And to that, we were able to rake in more domestic resources to be able to pursue the reforms we are pursuing in the health sector. Number 1, we have what we call the free primary health care, we have the National Health Insurance Scheme, and we have Mahama Cares. These are the interventions in the health sector. As you all agree with me, our health care delivery has been built around the treatment of diseases. And so the National Health Insurance has been built along the payment of treatment of diseases. But healthcare, properly so called, is not only about the treatment of diseases. Whilst we are strengthening our healthcare delivery along the treatment of diseases, we are also investing in the prevention of diseases. So we are now paying to prevent diseases. So prevention, promotion, and treatment would then come together to mean proper health care delivery. And so this year, we are rolling out the free primary health care in 150 districts out of the 261. And the free primary health care has its own limitations. We are not rolling out this policy by word of mouth, but we have the logistics, we have the basic equipment that will help us for the smooth implementation of this policy. We have procured not less than 24,000 pieces of this equipment. We have procured motorbikes and motor tricycles that will aid the movement of these health professionals to move from community to community, from house to house, from town to town, in order to discharge their duties. So in Upper East, we have deployed your fair share of the equipment. Yesterday I had the opportunity to visit the regional medical store, and it's full of these equipment. We have also deployed the red bags, we call it the kits, that will help these health professionals to move from house to house. And so the free primary health care today, as I speak to you, is in full force. From July to September alone, we have disbursed not less than 35 million Ghana cedis. That is, we are paying for the prevention of the diseases. And this is what they will do. When they come to your homes, they will check your vitals. We all know the non-communicable diseases, they progress silently. So a lot of us do not even know our health status. By the time you realize you either have stroke or one complication or the other, that is when you realize that you are in serious trouble. We do not want to wait till that point. We want to prevent you from getting to that situation, or early detection. And once we are able to detect them early, we'll be able to manage them very, very, very well. Your Excellency, the free primary health care is applicable at the Chief's compound, and you have directed that every district must construct not less than 2 chiefs in a year. And so as I speak to you now, over 400 chiefs compounds have been constructed along the length and breadth of this country. And from there, it is also applicable at the health centers. It's also applicable at the polyclinics. Your Excellency, what it means is that when you are referred beyond the polyclinic, that is the secondary level, the district hospitals, the regional hospitals, and the teaching hospitals, there's another intervention, that is the National Health Insurance Scheme. Your Excellency, we took the National Health Insurance Scheme at a coverage of 57% at the end of 2024. In a matter of less than 2 years, the records available to us indicate that the National Health Insurance has a coverage of 76%. And it is our expectation that by the end of 2028, we should be targeting 90% coverage. And so I will encourage all of you to be subscribers of the National Health Insurance Scheme. Do not say that because of the free primary health care, you don't need the National Health Insurance, because the free primary health care has not come to replace the National Health Insurance Scheme. In the free primary health care, all you need is to identify yourself as a Ghanaian. You don't need to pay anything, both curative, preventive, and promotion. At that point, the National Health Insurance also has its own limitations. There are diseases that are not captured under the National Health Insurance Scheme, especially the non-communicable diseases that are killing us at an alarming rate. And so there's another intervention that His Excellency has established. And so the establishment of the Ghana Medical Trust Fund, popularly known as Mahama Cares, is dedicated towards the funding of non-communicable diseases like the cancers. And so along the chain, from primary health care, secondary, and tertiary, at every point along the chain, you have one intervention or the other as a Ghanaian to benefit from. Your Excellency, we inherited a situation where more than 100,000 professionals, health professionals, have been trained, but they are at home without employment. As if that was not enough, we inherited a situation where about 13,500 nurses and midwives had been recruited, posted, yet there was no financial provision to pay them. You all recall the beginning of this administration, we were greeted with a lot of demonstrations from the nurses. The reason was that they had been recruited, posted without payment. We are left with 2 options, whether to lay all of them off and look for clearance for them, or to allow them to continue work and then migrate all of them to the payroll. And His Excellency the President directed us to take the latter. Your Excellency, I am happy to report that as I speak now, all the 13,500 nurses have been migrated to the payroll and they are being paid. Not only are they being paid, Your Excellency, there were this propaganda in the system that we have allowed them to work for 10 months and we're not going to pay them. We're not going to pay the arrears. Your Excellency, at the end of July this year, all arrears have been paid. Now, the solution to absorb these professionals at home, we have 3 main approaches. We are signing MOUs with other countries. the Kitts and Nevis, the Barbados, the Jamaicans, the US, the UK, and since we took over, we've moved about 3 batches. And so we are migrating some of them, facilitating the movement of these health professionals to other countries, and we are also absorbing some of them in our health centers. We have concluded, we are looking at absorbing about 16,000. We have concluded recruitment on 8,000, and going forward we are going to do additional 8,000 of them. Your Excellency, I can see Honorable Felix on his feet. Your Excellency, as I speak to you now, out of the 10 regional hospitals we have in this country, the NDC constructed 9 out of the 10 regional hospitals. And as I speak to you now, we have 6 regions without regional hospitals. In the 2026 budget, allocation has been made to commence the construction of regional hospitals in 3 regions: the Savannah, Western North, and OT. And in 2027, the additional 3 will also be constructed. Agenda 111, lastly. Your Excellency, unlike your first term in office, almost all the projects you left behind, we had dedicated sources of funding. Talk about the Aerojet, talk about the NMS project. But in the case of Agenda 111, no sources of funding. We have invested about 4.8 billion Ghana cedis, and not a single one of them has been completed or in operation. But you have instructed us that none of these projects should be abandoned. So as I speak to you now, we have selected 35 of these projects that government is going to invest in for its full completion and operationalization. Within the 35, the Upper East region has 4 of the 35. 4. So it means that you have more than other regions, because we have 16 regions. So if we are even sharing, it will not be more than 2 per region. But then you have 4 of these facilities. So Your Excellency, again, one very important thing, there is an instrument or equipment which is very vital in fighting non-communicable diseases: cath lab, or we call it cardiology centers. In the northern part of the country, all the 5 regions in the north, there was none. As I speak to you now, we are constructing one at Tamale Teaching Hospital to take care of the northern part of the country. We are constructing one at Kolebu. We have finished the Kolebu one, we've commissioned it, and Komfanoche is also progressing steadily. So there's a lot of progress in the health sector, and we will continue to serve you and serve you well. I'm most grateful.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister responsible for health. President Mahama promised whilst campaigning to be president that he will ensure the timely release of adequate resources to municipal or metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies. The man who has superintended these efforts is now penciled to take over at the Ministry of Works and Housing. But before he does that, we require of him one last assignment in respect of the Ministry of Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs, the Honorable Ahmed Ibrahim, Honorable MP for the people of Banda. Last one.
Thank you, Mamdada Felix. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, because it is last one, I have to say all. Former Assembly member for Bole DA, 12th-year member of Parliament for Bole Bamoy, former Deputy Minister, former running mate and Vice President, former President, former ECOWAS President, African Union First Vice President, Second Vice President, soon to be African Union Continental President 2027. Your Excellency, once I said that, permit me to mention just one person and stand on the existing protocol. His Royal Majesty, President of the Upper East Regional House of Chiefs, and the entire members of the House, colleagues, ministers of state, my brothers and sisters, let me stand on the existing protocol. Good afternoon. Your Excellency, I'm here to do a simple task. to speak on your activities in the local government front for the past 20 months. Your Excellency, as you are aware, we were told before 2016 that try me and see. But in 2025, you came with a track record. So Ghana has moved beyond try me and see. Before you came to the throne, you knew what you were coming to do. What then have you done? You were the first president. By end of January, all your cabinet ministers were at post. You were the first president. By 11th of February, all your Council of State members' elections were organized. You were the first president. By April, all your government appointees in the district assemblies have been appointed. The first president, by 2nd of June, there was an orientation for all your metropolitan, municipal, and district chief executives for all the 261 metropolitan, municipal, and district assembly. Mr. President, the first president to be able to pay all the 9,090 assembly members an amount of 1,300 Ghana cedis every month for the year 2025, and in 2026, the first quarter has been paid. And Mr. President, as I speak to you, the assembly members' allowances from April to December has been released by the finance minister to the Ministry of Local Government, and the controller is just releasing the actual funds for us to be able to pay even the second quarter. So assembly members, the era where you used to wait and say we'll state demonstration is past and gone. Your amount up to December has not been released by the Minister for Finance to local government. Mr. President, in election year, there was only 324 million Ghana cedis released to all the 261 assembly members in 2024. But as I speak to you, from 2025 to date, your government has released an amount of 6.2 billion for 2024 and 4.4 billion for 2025 and 4.4 billion for 2026. So that 20 months, 12 months for 2025, 4 quarters, 6 months for 2026, 2 quarters. The Minister for Finance, Mr. President, has released an amount of close to 11 billion to the 261 metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies. Ladies and gentlemen, the entire 8 years of the Nana Addo Dankwa administration, the amount of money released to the 261 district assemblies was 17 billion. So what, Mr. President, you have released for 1.5 years is almost equal to what they released in 8 years. Mr. President, not only that, your government has also been able to assess all the 261 metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies. But the problem is, since 2022, 2023, 2024, the MPP government could not even assess all the district assemblies. So there was no D-part. And therefore, for the 8 years, their D-part release was 1.1 billion. Mr. President, for 1 year, your D-part money is 738 million Ghana cedis. It has never happened before, equivalent to their 8 years tenure. Mr. President, not only that, your government has been able to earmark 261 24-hour economy in all the country. By December 2028, almost all the market in the metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies will be your legacy. Because apart from the 261, you did Kajetia, you did Kotokraba, you did Home Market, you did Ashanti. So if you add these 261 to what you did before 2016, it means all the markets in the country are constructed by you. And that is why you are called the Ghana's infrastructure king. Mr. President, not only that, on the chieftaincy front, Mr. President, for 8 years, their allowances was not increased. But last year, you increased the allowances for our chiefs, paramount chiefs, and queen mothers by 300%. Mr. President, not only that, the amount for the judicial adjudication for the judicial committee was increased by 67%.
Mr. President, not only that, you have given executive approval for the construction and approval for the university for the governance. And through that, Mr. President, you are bringing a course which is called Royal Academy for Chiefs, where our traditional rulers are going to have their capacity building. Nanano will go for courses in the Royal Academy of Chiefs. One of the campuses is in Tamale, one of the campuses is in Akumadan, and one of the campuses is in Accra. Mr. President, this will help to be able to bring down the number of chieftaincy cases that we have. Mr. President, not only that, apart from that, Mr. President, you are the only one who was able to recruit legal counsels in our judicial committees. And Mr. President, this has never happened. Apart from that, Mr. President, apart from that, Mr. President, you are the only president who has been able to, within this short period of time, you've given approval for the review of the Local Governance Act 936, and not only that, the University for Governance Studies, not only that, another law that, Mr. President, we are reviewing is the Land Use and Spatial Planning Law, which is to be called Town and Country Planning Act. Mr. President, many Ghanaians don't even know what is called town and land use and spatial planning. What we are used to is town and country planning. And therefore the land use and spatial planning law is a new thing. The president has